What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Debates with Nav on the Right Way Sports Network. I'm your host, Pranav Sriraman. As always, make sure to go follow me on Instagram at Sports World Debates. And if you have any thoughts, concerns, or questions, or if you just want to talk sports with me, make sure to tweet me at SWDTweets1 on Twitter. Now, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be going over a debate that rocked NBA Twitter and national sports outlets earlier this week, and that is when ESPN's Kendrick Perkins made a statement that said James Harden was a better basketball player and is a better basketball player than Stephen Curry. You might be looking just as blank-faced as I am right now. He really said James Harden is a better basketball player than Stephen Curry. I don't even think it's a debate. I think Stephen Curry is a much better basketball player. He's proven it multiple times during his basketball career and during James Harden's career. And I think he still is a better basketball player. Despite his injury this season, he's going to be better next season. But some people on Twitter think it's a real big debate, as well as Kendrick Perkins. And I'm here to educate you that it is not that big of a debate because Stephen Curry has been better. And without further ado, let's get right into the debate. Now, before we get into any of the stats or anything, let's just knock this right off the bat. Stephen Curry is a better three-point shooter, a better mid-range shooter, a better finisher, a better free throw shooter, a better, more efficient scorer, and an elite volume scorer than James Harden is. Yes, I said Stephen Curry is a better finisher and a better scorer than James Harden. We'll get into stats. We'll get into some of the stats right now. You might be wondering, how is he a better finisher? James Harden is 6'6". He could dunk. He does all of this. Well, if you actually look at the numbers instead of just looking at the highlights, you could tell that Stephen Curry is a better finisher than James Harden. He doesn't look as flashy or like a normal finisher does. Stephen Curry shoots almost 60% from 0 to 3 feet within the basket. James Harden shoots around 47% from around there. What's higher, 60% or 47%? You tell me. Stephen Curry is a better finisher, and the stats don't lie about it. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Stephen Curry is a better finisher than James Harden. So let's get that right out of the bat. Everyone knows Stephen Curry's shooting capabilities. It is much better than James Harden. And you're going to be talking about scorer. James Harden, oh my God, he averaged like 35 points per game this season. How is he possibly a worse scorer than Stephen Curry? Well, James Harden plays under the system coached by Mike D'Antoni. And Mike D'Antoni's system allows the primary ball handler or the guard to maximize their numbers to the best capability because he gives the primary ball handler the maximum freedom they can ever have. Don't believe me? Well, just look at the simple stats. James Harden and the Houston Rockets rank number 1 in ISO frequency. And isolation ball is when the single player holds the ball and conducts most of the team offense. James Harden and his Houston Rockets rank number 1 at 20% of the game they spend in isolation. The second highest is 10%, which is the Portland Trailblazers. And the dead last was the Orlando Magic at 3.1%. The margin between second place and 30th is lower than the Rockets in second place. And James Harden is number 1 in the NBA in ISO frequency at 45.8%, which means he holds the ball longer than anyone in the NBA. So are you really telling me that if Stephen Curry had that ability, and Stephen Curry is a more efficient scorer, as you could see in his career, Stephen Curry's effective field goal percentage is at 58.1, while James Harden's effective field goal percentage is at 52.5 during his career. Are you really telling me Stephen Curry, the more efficient scorer, wouldn't be able to thrive as much as James Harden if he had that big of an ISO frequency? I think he can. And just because he doesn't average the same amount of points per game, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a better scorer because you're given more opportunity to score. And you don't believe me that Steph doesn't have as big of a freedom? Well, he had 4 All-Stars on his team during the past 3 years. And Stephen Curry, from 2014-2015, when the Warriors evolved, they did not have like 4 All-Stars throughout this entire period. Steph Curry in time of possession ranking, and that's ranking is the number of minutes that a player possesses the ball. James Harden is like number 1 on that list. Stephen Curry, however, is from 2014, he was 29th, 2016, he was 26th, 2017, he was 32nd, 2018, he was 31st, and 2019, he was 36th. James Harden was number 1. So you're really telling me Stephen Curry, if he was given the same amount of luxury James Harden had on the scoring end, he couldn't be as productive as a scorer as James Harden. I believe he can be, and he's still more efficient. So moving on from just that stat, let's go into their playoff performances. Stephen Curry in the playoffs has thoroughly outplayed James Harden in elimination games. In elimination games, Stephen Curry averages 27.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Let's look at James Harden. James Harden averages 27.8 points per game, 6.4 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. Those are pretty similar statistics. And James Harden averages around 6 turnovers, while Stephen Curry averages around 4 turnovers. So all in all, those are pretty similar statistics. But you look at the efficiency, however, that is when everything changes. James Harden shoots around 40% from the field goal, overall field goal percentage. He shoots 32% from 3, 47% effective field goal percentage, and 81% from the free throw line. Stephen Curry, however, is much more efficient despite averaging around the same numbers. Stephen Curry shoots 44.7% from the field, 49% from the three-point line, 58.8 effective field goal percentage, and 94% from the free throw line. And their record in those elimination games since 2015, when they first started playing each other in these big games, was the Warriors are 6-2 in that span, in those 8. James Harden, however, in those elimination games is 4-5. So you see that drastically affects their team's success. Stephen Curry's team is having much more success than James Harden's team, despite them putting similar stats, since he's much more of an efficient player than James Harden is, and he causes less turnovers, and he conducts the entire team's offense better. Now, you're going to be thinking, well, playmaking, James Harden, oh my god, he averaged 11 assists in one season. He averages more assists than Stephen Curry. Well, that goes back to my point about the time of possession. Steph Curry holds the ball a lot less than James Harden, so it's harder for him to rack up those same amount of assists. And even then, Steph Curry is a better playmaker because a lot of his assists are hockey assists, which you could say is where he passes it to one player, they pass it to another player, and that's how the bucket results. James Harden, however, waits until the shot clock winds down, waits until he gets double teamed, passes it to a player who gets a quick shot off, and he has the ball much more in his hand, so it's much easier for him to rack up a higher assist total. But higher assist totals doesn't necessarily mean you're a better playmaker, as I just mentioned before. Now, with all that being said, let's look at their overall playoff stats. Steph Curry in the playoffs is more impactful than James Harden is. He's more impactful in the regular season as well. When Stephen Curry in his career during the playoffs, in his regular career, when Stephen Curry's on the court, the Warriors are a plus 8.8. It's time to do a little bit of math here. When he's a plus 8.8, and that's the net rating, which is the offensive rating minus the defensive rating. Steph Curry is a positive 8.8 when he's on the court. When he's off the court, the Warriors are, 8.8 minus 12? The Warriors are a minus 3.2 net on the court without Steph Curry during Stephen Curry's career. Now, without James Harden, however, during his career with the Houston Rockets, I'm not going to discount his OKC days because he wasn't a primary player during OKC days, and he was a sixth man. But during his Houston Rockets career, James Harden is a plus 5.7 on the court. Well, the Houston Rockets are plus 5.7 with James Harden on the court, which is lower than what Steph Curry is. But without him, what's 5.7 minus 4.9? The Rockets are still a positive team. They're plus 0.8. So you see Steph's much more impactful on the court than James Harden is. So with all that being said, I don't really know what else I have to really say. Stephen Curry is almost better in every category besides the defensive end and in terms of rebounding, and that's mainly due to height. And even on the defensive end, it's not like a Grand Canyon margin where James Harden is so much better on the defensive end. James Harden is not a great defender himself. But with everything we've taken into, I don't really think you need much more context to explain why Stephen Curry is a better player than James Harden. He clearly is. I just gave you that he's better in the playoffs, And he's better in the regular season throughout his career. He's more impactful, and he does everything James Harden is elite at the same level or probably an even better level. And you might be bringing up one last point, which is, you Harden fans, you might be bringing up one last point. Oh my God, Stephen Curry's played on a super team. Oh my God. Oh, he's had this much help. Imagine if James Harden had this much help. James Harden has played with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Dwight Howard, Chris Paul. He's played with a great amount of players himself, and he didn't have to be the primary option. Steph Curry has always had to be the primary option. And although Steph Curry did have a super team in 2015, both of those teams were pretty even. I would say maybe that we could give the Warriors an edge in that Western Conference Finals, but both of those teams were pretty even, and guess who won that series? It was not James Harden's Rockets. It was Stephen Curry who outplayed James Harden and took his team to the finals and eventually to win the ring. And when they both had even teams on the same stage, Steph Curry thoroughly outplayed James Harden. And even when Steph Curry, in that finals game 6 from last year in 2019 in the Western Conference semifinals without Kevin Durant with a banged up Clay, and Steph Curry scored 33 points, and when it mattered most, he showed up while James Harden didn't. He just thoroughly outplayed James Harden without Kevin Durant. And with all that being said, I don't really think you can make an argument that James Harden is a better player. I'm out for now, y'all. Peace.